Who is it?
We're the government.
Oh, good, the government. So perhaps you could tell me what happened to that mint-condition G1 wheelie I bought off eBay 3 months ago. Hang on, I'll grab the door. Hey, you're not with the post office. You're here to make me do another part of my analysis on Michael Bay's 2007 Transformers film. Well, I'm not going to do it. I've already put myself through enough pain and suffering. You can't make me do any more.
You gonna try to get rough with us?
Yes? Well, maybe. No. Fine, I'll freaking do it.
Bingo!
This part is all about Sector 7, our introduction to them, and what they've been up to, as well as being the best character in this film franchise. Without further ado, let's get into it. My name is Paul, and this is Plot Spot. Welcome to Plot Spot, the place where we analyze stories and try to determine what makes them succeed or fail. Last time, Bumblebee threw a temper tantrum, we met the rest of the Autobots, and proceeded to waste 8 minutes of screen time with stupid robot shenanigans, only to be interrupted by the arrival of the cops. And these aren't just any cops. This is the elusive Sector 7 finally revealing themselves. This unit is led by Agent Seymour Simmons, who I have to say just steals the scene no matter which film he's in. Yes, even The Last Night. Look, there ain't a high bar for that film. After a nice scene of Sam's parents trying to protect him from Simmons, he holds a Geiger counter up to him and determines he has had direct contact with aliens.
Bingo! Tag him and dang him!
All 4 of the humans are taken into custody, with Sam and Michaela being split off from the former's parents, riding with Simmons in his car. I also assume that the Autobots finally got a working robot equivalent of a brain cell between them and took off when Sector 7 arrived. How they managed to escape unseen is a mystery, but I suppose it's par at this point. Simmons begins to interrogate Sam and Michaela, asking Sam if the recording he made when he saw B transform is him or not. It's actually not the same clip Sam recorded before, which can only mean one thing. Simmons is deep-faking Sam in order to frame him. Actually, his original recording was just as damning, so there wouldn't be a point in that.
My name is Sam Witwicky. Whoever finds this in my car is alive, okay? My name is Sam Witwicky, okay? And my
Is that you?
car is...
Yeah, that sounds like...
Which I guess means it has to be an editing error. Which, again, is par. Here's the weird thing, though. Michaela rats Sam out saying that it sounds like him. Why? Why would she possibly do that? Now sure, I don't think she gave anything away to Simmons. He already knew it was Sam. He's just being dramatic because he's...
A little strange. He's a little strange.
But why help Simmons at all? It doesn't make any sense. The only thing I can think, and I still think this would be a dick move, is that she's put off by the username LadiesMan217. But, come on. Are you really going to get pissed about that? Especially when so much is at stake? Simmons shows his cruel streak and willingness to accomplish his mission by any means necessary by threatening to sink Michaela's dad's parole hearing. Sam is shocked to learn that she has a juvie record because she helped her dad steal cars. Simmons also shows a creepy side of himself.
She's a criminal. Criminals are hot.
That was a really creepy move just now.
That's in here. And while Simmons is busy talking about hot teenage girls and keeping their car-stealing fathers in jail forever with his I can do whatever I want to get away with badge, he doesn't notice the Geiger counter reading going up and up. And they run right into Optimus Prime's foot. I like the motivation, Prime, but I have to deduct points for the execution of this rescue attempt.
Oh, come on!
First, your plan to stop them is to slam your foot into a speeding vehicle when it doesn't appear that any of the humans are wearing seatbelts. That could easily have killed all of them. Second, you pick up the car by the roof to tear it off, causing it to crash back to the ground, potentially causing more harm. Optimus, you, like humans, have 2 hands. You could put one hand on the hood of the SUV to hold it in place while you peel back the roof with the other. You didn't have to be so dramatic. But we got an exciting scene, right? That's all that matters. Kill me now.
Taking the children was a bad move. Autobots, relieve them of their weapons.
Anyways, the Autobots come in and Jazz confiscates their weapons. So that was a solid plan, Prime. Good on you.
You don't seem afraid. Are you not surprised to see us?
First of all, I think they do seem afraid. Especially this guy with Simmons. Second, that logic doesn't hold up. I may have heard that a bear is loose in my neighborhood. And then, while I make a quick run out to my mailbox to see if that G1 wheelie came in yet, and I find the bear at my mailbox going through my bills, I may not be surprised, but you can bet I'd still be scared. Seriously, knowledge of something doesn't equal no fear of it. Sometimes it's actually the other way. I know drug cartels exist, so I would not be surprised per se to come across one, but you better believe I'd be frightened out of my wits. Sam and Michaela have a brief exchange where she tells him that she has a record because she wouldn't rat on her dad. A policy I suppose she's changed since then. She gets a dig in there about when has Sam ever had to sacrifice anything in his perfect life, which I suppose can work from her point of view. Not totally accurate from an objective sense, but we have to look at it how she sees it. You can also tell Sam has a Telltale Games moment where he's like, Sam will remember that. Also kind of fits in with the Witwicky motto, no sacrifice, no victory. So that's nice. After Sam and Michaela employ the effective strategy of interrogating Simmons with a barrage of questions, one after the other before he even has a chance to respond, we get this absolute gem of a shot. Like, why? Why was this necessary? It's different from the scene between Mojo and Ironhide because that was a dog, although I still think that was unnecessary. B is very humanoid, so it makes it quite obscene. And it doesn't even make sense. Like, why does a Transformer have that functionality, and why would it come out of his crotch? I think Hasbro needed tighter control on these guys. Unfortunately, it only gets worse in subsequent movies. Going back to the interrogation, I would think Optimus would want to ask Simmons some questions too, like, how much does he know about them and his race? But he seems disinterested. After Michaela forces Simmons to strip down, one of the other S7 agents reveals to Simmons that he got the good idea to put his phone on speaker, calling for backup. Good thinking on this guy's part. He should get a raise. Oh wait, that means that's coming out of my tax dollars. Hold on! So the Sector 7 reinforcements come rolling in, and Ironhide unleashes some kind of attack that shreds the tires of all the vehicles. I have no idea what this thing is, but why didn't he use it again? It has to have other uses, right? What if he delivered that right in Brawl's chest? Surely that would do some damage, right? Anyways, they roll out, and Optimus has another brilliant idea. Grab the kids and run down the street. Yup. Instead of transforming to vehicle mode where he can move faster and hide better, he runs down the streets of LA, almost hitting cars and buses, and then the helicopter pilots are just as stupid because they fly mere feet over the traffic. And then they somehow lose Prime when he turns down the street. The chopper just hovers in place saying he lost him. No shit, Sherlock. You're not going to find him by hovering in one spot. You gotta love the incompetence. After Optimus manages to lose Sector 7, he hides under a bridge with Sam and Michaela. Meanwhile, B is racing down the concrete riverbed for some reason. I suppose he was unlucky and was found by S7, but it kind of seems like he is driving toward Optimus, like he knows he's about to be needed. Michaela somehow falls. I think it's supposed to be from the downwash of the helicopter, but it's vague. Sam soon falls too, and Bumblebee has to rescue them, Sam losing the glasses in the process. The helicopters close in, and Bumblebee sacrifices himself to try to protect Sam. It doesn't really work, but it's the thought that counts. We then get this scene of B being frozen with liquid nitrogen, and Sam looking on before he tries to interfere and rescue Bumblebee, all while emotional music plays to manipulate your feelings. But these two have had no meaningful interactions other than B chasing him and their brief conversation after Bumblebee fails to kill Barricade. So it just feels unearned. They should have saved this emotion for the end scene where Bumblebee is missing his legs after Starscream's attack. It would have fit much better then, after we've had some time to digest this scene. Then Sam would return the favor by rescuing him at Hoover Dam, strengthening their connection. Sector 7 takes Bee and the kids into custody, and Jazz goes to talk to Optimus, the filmmakers using this pillar to cheat the transformation. That's a shadow of things to come in future movies. Jazz tries to get Optimus to save Bumblebee, but Optimus says it can't be done without hurting the humans. Okay, Prime, like you haven't carried out rescue missions that endangered humans before. He then picks up the discarded glasses, which are much larger than they should be, by the way. Meanwhile, Keller is in the middle of trying to coordinate America's defenses when Tom Banachek, another agent from Sector 7, comes to talk to him under orders from the president. Keller initially blows him off, then the virus frenzy planet activates, shutting down not only communications in the US, but, as one of the generals puts it,
the blackout's global.
So, I feel this is a bit ambiguous. Are they saying that the US can't communicate with anyone in the world, or that no one in the world can communicate with each other? I always took it as the latter, and that's what I think the dialogue points to, as well as what the novelization indicates. But that would be pretty incredible and catastrophic. We're talking about thousands dying, quite possibly more because of this. We'll talk later about how they somehow keep this all a secret from the public. Either way, we'll move past that for now. Banachek pushes Keller that they need to talk, so the SecDef does. Banachek proceeds to explain how Sector 7 was created by President Hoover 80 years ago, and then shows Keller the Transformers teaser trailer. I mean, footage from the NASA Beagle 2 Mars rover, including a Cybertronian destroying said rover. Now, a couple of historical problems. First, the Beagle 2 was a lander, not a rover, which, like the name implies, means it just lands. It wouldn't be able to move around. It had a robotic arm to get samples, but no wheels like those shown in the film. Second, it wasn't even NASA. It was launched by the European Space Agency. I'm all for hidden history and such things in fiction, but it has to reasonably line up with the facts. For example, I find it plausible that in between President Hoover's screwing around to try to fix the Great Depression, he could have created a top-secret agency. We know the US, and all governments, have national secrets, so it's not outside the realm of believability that there would be secret agencies we don't know about. But you could easily search the facts about the Beagle 2 and find that it doesn't line up. And they could have used the Sojourner, a NASA rover that landed on Mars on July 4th, 1997, and we later lost contact with in September of that year. If they really wanted something more recent, they could have stuck with the reality of the Beagle 2. I don't see why it had to be a rover instead of a lander, and they could have even kept the European Space Agency connection. Sure, it might be a little bit of a stretch for S7 to have influence over a foreign agency, but it's not totally nuts. And if they really needed it to be a rover operated by NASA, they could have just made one up. Films do that all the time. It's no big deal. I think that would be preferable to having to bend history so much. Anyways, just my 2 cents. Next, Banachek shows Keller images of Blackout and the Transformer that destroyed Beagle 2. And you might notice that the image of Blackout doesn't look like the one Epps took. If you remember, Blackout attacked Soxent at nighttime, or that's at least when he began his attack. But this photo is clearly during the day. I know day and night change rapidly in this movie, but this is ridiculous. Blackout doesn't even seem to be in the same pose that he had been at the time. I don't know if you can chalk this up to the imager being damaged, but I doubt it. But one thing is clear from all of this. These attacks are not human in origin, which can mean only one thing. Aliens. Keller immediately orders all ships to pull back to the US, hoping that shortwave radio will still be operational. Then they begin to rally all of the protagonists together. Lennox and Epps, along with the rest of their team, have just gotten home and look ready for a long rest when a government agent comes up to them and tells them to come with him. Keller comes and springs Maggie and subsequently Glenn when she says that he's her advisor. They all convene at the Hoover Dam with Sam and Michaela, including Bumblebee, who is still being restrained by Sector 7. Meanwhile, back at the Griffith Observatory in LA, Optimus and the other Autobots are just hanging out behind it in the morning sun, in full view of anybody that could be moseying along these trails. But they don't have time to worry about that. They have to find the Allspark.
Fire it up, Optimus.
By it, do you mean his eyes, Jazz? Kind of a weird line, but whatever. So here's a good time to bring up this. How do they know this information is still accurate? Surely this is the equivalent of Megatron writing some coordinates on a piece of paper, not the equivalent of a constantly updating GPS locator. So in the 12,000 years that the Allspark has been here, it could have moved for a variety of reasons. Tectonic shifts, the humans could have transported it elsewhere, or even some other force could have come and taken it. I mean, it's a good place to start, but it's by no means a guarantee that you will find the cube. Instead of praying that this projector thing works,
Please, let this work.
you should be praying that the Allspark is actually at the location when you get there.
I sense the Decepticons are getting ready to mobilize.
My mama, she had the gift, you know?
Okay, Ratchet. Whatever you say. Although, I do like that later Starscream does indeed tell the Decepticons to mobilize.
They must know it's here as well.
Wait, you're just going off of Ratchet's vague feelings? That's what makes you think the Decepticons know the cube is here? Because by here, I assume you mean Earth, and not the Hoover Dam, as that wouldn't make grammatical or narrative sense. Well, considering that Bumblebee encountered 2 Decepticons here so far, who were also after Archibald's glasses, I think it's a pretty safe bet that they know it's on the planet. Much safer than Ratchet feeling it in his bones. But Jazz doesn't give a shit about any of that. He just cares about his boy, B. Which I have to say is a nice touch. The characterization of the Transformers in this movie, well, in really all of the movies, is kind of lacking. So the few moments we have them are nice. Optimus says that B's sacrifice will be for nothing if they don't accomplish their mission and retrieve the cube. But Ironhide brings up a good point. Why go through all this effort to protect humanity?
They're a primitive and violent race. Were we so different?
This is almost a perfect response from Prime. There's just one problem. The tense of were should be changed to present, making the line, are we so different? Because from everything we see in this movie and later movies, the Transformers fight just as violently and savagely as humans. It's kind of laughable that Prime would say that when they are in the middle of a millennia-long war with the Decepticons. Instead of trying to create this distinction that the Transformers are so morally advanced, Optimus should lean into their similarities with humans. That would make a stronger case for both Ironhide and the audience. But anyways, Optimus says that he sees the potential in humanity and sums it up with his motto.
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
Love that guy. Goosebumps every time.
But he follows it up with this.
You all know there's only one way to end this war. We must destroy the cube.
Oh, is that so, Prime? Is that the only way? Spoiler alert, they do that and it doesn't end the war. The war between the Autobots and Decepticons is not over the Allspark. It's over differing philosophies on how Cybertron and really all life should be governed. The cube is just a means to an end. Destroying the cube seems like a pretty radical plan. Maybe that should be your last-ditch effort to stop the Decepticons from winning, not what you're going into battle with. That will leave Cybertron lifeless and deprive the Autobots of a valuable piece of technology to help in their war effort. And then what will happen? The Decepticons will steamroll over Earth and you. That's what. Optimus then says that if there is no way to destroy the cube, he'll join it with his spark, which Ratchet stupidly points out could destroy both the Allspark and Prime. First, this seems to be the only hint of opposition to destroying the Allspark that the Autobots have. Otherwise, they seem to be on board with it. Second, well, hopefully it destroys the cube, as that's Optimus's entire plan. It'll be pretty anticlimactic if he put it in his chest and nothing happened. Third, I'm pretty sure Prime knows that he will die. I don't think you're telling him any groundbreaking news, Docbot. Also, it seems that Optimus doesn't know if the cube can be destroyed any other way, but he's positive uniting it with his spark will. I guess it could just be that is something the Transformers know about their physiology, but it still is weak. Also, if that's what you need to do, why not kill two birds with one stone and shove it in a Decepticon's chest? Even if it's just a 2-bit player like Frenzy or Scorponok. Killing an enemy combatant would be much preferable to losing the leader of the Autobots. Perhaps there's more to it than that. Maybe it gives the Transformer some big power-up before his spark burns out. But they also don't say that, so I feel like that's reading into things. Optimus says it's necessary to bring peace to Earth. Oh really, Prime? Destroying something that humans don't even know exists will bring about world peace? I don't think so. Yes, I know he's referring to the Transformers War, but still. Optimus seems to be so sure that the Decepticons will leave if the Allspark is gone. But what if they pull a G1 cartoon and go after humanity's energy sources now that they have no other option? Again, not saying that destroying the cube should be off the table, but it seems like it should be a last resort. Here's another thing. How are the Autobots planning to leave the planet? Can their protoform modes be used to take off? It seems not, as later movies say that they need a ship to leave. Didn't think ahead on that one, Prime. Same with you, Orsi and Kurtzman. They roll out.
We roll.
Also, Frenzy falls off the side of a Hoover Dam. And that's a wrap for this part. Better than the last one, but we still have some major narrative problems in this act. Don't worry, it starts to pick up again in the next part, which will cover Hoover Dam and the secrets Sector 7 has been keeping, as well as everything going foobar. But until then, go out and find more stories to experience. Then I'll meet you back here where we'll examine another one. My name is Paul, and this has been Plot Spot.